because we can't miss an opportunity to actually attack government. Here they are bringing in a bill to the House, which we'll support because it's about extending the dates from a bill that we brought into the House in 2005, but we can't miss an opportunity to actually attack the government of the day, who went out in the election and said they're going to fix law and order issues. That was one of their major aspirational goals, and that they were going to put victims at the centre and look after victims of crime. So we can bring this little technical bill to the House today that just extends the time frame for another 2 years till 2012. But we can't admit as government that we've got sexual abuse victim services completely wrong. And the Minister in the House at question time today, when put under some pressure, said, "Oh, but I've set up a review committee," and he's got some very respectable people on that committee. He doesn't need to do that, Mr Speaker. He knows full well that he got the criteria for referral to a treatment pathway for victims of sexual abuse completely wrong. And David Park has talked about 300 cases down to six. 300 down to six. And the government still is refusing to say they've got it wrong. They put in another review team that's going to report back. What a waste of time, while victims of sexual abuse are suffering every single day. The trauma to a victim of sexual abuse, a child, a woman, is going to extend, or a man, is going to extend onto that full family. That family belongs to a community, and that community also wears the effects of the lack of treatment services and correct intervention pathways for those victims. Yesterday I met Louise Nichols, who said to me, this government with sexual abuse care and treatment pathways has got things completely wrong, and 300 counsellors have already lost their jobs. 300 sexual abuse counsellors in this country who have been working with victims of sexual abuse no longer have the work. It's not rocket science to see that if you've lost 300 cases each month down to 6, then those skilled health professionals have got no work. Now, what happens when the review committee comes back with the inevitable, which it will? This is just a time-wasting mechanism that the minister set in place. Can't admit that he's got it wrong, and we're going to need to reenact and get those counsellors back into the workforce to meet the demand. It's wrong, it's a crock, it's everything but putting victims at the centre of crime, and I think this government is going to pay a price for this next year on the election campaign, because this is an issue that is affecting the well-being of our children and our families in New Zealand. Not only that, they were going to fix crime. The drivers of crime they were going to address, but the latest crime statistics show that the number of crime victims are growing and not decreasing under national. Crime's risen by 4.6% in the 2009 calendar year, and violent crime has increased by 9.2%, and murders by a massive 25%. And yet government sat there and said, we are going to fix crime. We went out on the campaign trail, and every national candidate blamed the Labor government again and again and again for not fixing crime, and we're about to go into a budget in the next couple of weeks. And is that going to do it for families who are dispossessed and disconnected? I don't think so. This government needs to hang its head in shame over its entire efforts to actually address the drivers of crime. And this bill we are only supporting because it actually extends the time frame on our bill, which we brought to the House in 2005. But National said we did nothing about the victims of crime and compensation. Well, Mr Speaker, couldn't resist the call. I think it's a disgrace. It's a sad day when we can actually put energy to get this bill before the House, but we cannot simply fix what is rightfully the correct service pathway for treatment for victims of sexual abuse. Can't do it, but we can bring this in the House.
That concludes the debate, so the question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Party vote. Clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
58 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
43 votes in favour.
Green Party.
9 votes opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
5 votes in favour.
Maori Party.
Tokore mai whakahean.
Progressive.
1 vote in favour.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
The ayes are 108, the noes are 14. The motion is agreed to.
Prisoners and Victims' Claims, Expiry and Application Dates Amendment Bill, first reading.